It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for more Kia Cup action. This time, coming from the green hell itself, this is the Nordschleife. It is 12.9 miles in length with 154 corners. Gotta race them all, gotta race them all. It is the Nordschleife, and it's here on RaceSpotTV next. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to RaceSpotTV Prime Time here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive. We're at the ring. We're at the Nordschleife. 154 corners, and hey, Johnny Simone and I, we know at least two of them. That's our promise here tonight. Guys have started to grid right now. We're going to show you very quickly. You're starting, or no, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to go straight to the race coverage. Here we are. This is going to be fun, though. We're going to go racing for 25-ish minutes. We work out somewhere between 3 and 4 laps. This could be interesting. As you see, the cars are on the grid here. We're saying, Will Vincent, Johnny Simone, 5 laps of racing then. Front of your field, lights on top of the gantry. Green flag in the air. Now, Johnny, let's pretend like we know what we're doing.
Yep, definitely.
In towards turn 1.
Clean so far, looks good.
Yeah.
They make their way past. And it seems a few little battles here as they form up into the first few corners.
Here we are. We're going to go on board with this driver. This driver is Dustin Hickman. He's running himself in P number 9. Now, it is worth noting, Johnny, for the majority of this track, it is very hard to pass. It's a case of follow the leader, but make sure you don't lose too much time. Got a car going sideways down. What's this? Turn number 7? 8?
Yeah, possibly. But as you mentioned, a few cars trying to fight for position and be aggressive early because they know they're not going to make those positions up later. So that's a critical point here. There's, I think that's Robert Austin right onto the back of Colin Cunniff here, P16-17. Good little scrap in the early laps.
As you can see, Austin getting a little bit of air now. They go into a right-hander. This is heading towards Flugplatz here. As Austin having to fall back into line in P number 17 in track. But Michael Shellback leads this motor race. There's 4 laps of this race to go. As we can see, we're having a look now from the rear of your race leader, Michael Shellback, as this is into, I'm presuming, Arenberg. Now heading themselves down this little straightaway into Fuschler before they'll go down into this left-right flick down at Under Forst here. So I think we kind of know where we are. we have got to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. Between Johnny and I, we have done about, I don't know, 20 corners worth of commentary at this racetrack, so we're learning this one with you. I'm going to be honest, I've commentated pretty much every single racetrack in the world, except for the Nordschleife, but we're on board with Daniel Kraft right now in the number 11 machine. So they are on the road to State and the Forest, and then after that, we're into the middle stage of this racetrack. So left-hander, very long half-hander here. This is Meskelfield. Now I'm going to slow it down, I think, in towards Conrad. I think I've got this right, Johnny. Am I in the right part of the racetrack?
Yeah, I think so. You look how close these guys are at the front already at this stage of the race. In qualifying, only 4/10 the gap between Chiplewski and Shellback in P1 and 2. And those guys have been so strong this season. And they continue on here at the Nürburgring. Daniel Kraft too, very, very close behind. And you know, it's a little bit of follow the leader, as you mentioned, but Kraft is maybe trying to get Chiplewski to get a move on here, because he's almost giving a little tag on the exit of the little hairpin there.
Yeah, that was X-Moore, now heading himself down to Bergwick then, 110 kilometers an hour at this stage of the racetrack. And I will say as well, I have done a total of 2 laps here on this track on iRacing, number 23 machine, scrapping it out there. That's George Simmons with James King, battle for P number 20 on track. As we got a car off then, that's a number 15 machine. I know one thing, Johnny, that's not the way you're supposed to be pointing that race car.
No, definitely not. Jay Adji there having issues, and he's, oh, this is... Hair Racing is in the middle of the racetrack, and he's in a little bit of a blind corner, so he's... this is where spotters come involved as well, to tell you there's no one behind, but he's going to get away cleanly. And, well, unfortunate for him, he's really going to have to just trundle away and enjoy the next 4 laps of agony, you could say, for him now with that damaged car.
Yep, this is the very fast pit of the track. This is Klosterol now. You can see just how close they get to the wall through this section. It's fantastically high speed through here, up to 130 miles an hour. You're literally blind crest, blind apexes, high curbs. The driver out front there, Michael Shellback, though, is able to hold on. Don't forget, we've got a 24-hour race coming at the Nordschleife in just a couple of months' time. We are heading ourselves into a corner that we actually know, Johnny. This is Carousel.
Yes. We should have just came up to this corner and said, hey, this is a carousel, and people would have assumed we knew the rest of the racetrack. But at this rate anyway, Shellback exits the corner nice and cleanly. So as we said, the fields are spreading out not as much as we thought. You know, from P1 to P14 it's 8.2 seconds. That's a little bit of slipstream involved and a little bit of cautiousness too. You're not going to see drivers taking risks, especially at a racetrack where risks aren't really rewarded that highly if you get them wrong, obviously.
Yeah, risk toward factor there. We saw Mika Isius there trying to find a way past in the number 7 Club Benelux car. Going to get a very good run actually over the actual from car there of Luis Silveira, but not able to do so. They now work themselves down towards the end of the lap. This is down just behind the trees as we just turn our camera angle to something that you can see. There we are, Mika Isius there in the number 7 machine, running themselves in P number 7. And Daniel Kraft is still right there at the front of this field. We've got ourselves a 3-ish car breakaway right now with Michael Shellback, Stelian Klebski, and Daniel Kraft as we go on board with Daniel Kraft, working himself just up this blind crest. He's very close now towards the end of the first lap. I just love this sequence of corners. Just down at Flantgarten, and now you just fling that car into this very fast 180 degree left-hander coming up next, I think. There we are. Now you come down, right-hand flick. We're on board with Daniel Kraft. Still, the speeds that these guys do, though, you can see it's just absolutely fantastic. There we are, right-hander. And this is a very slow corner now. Double apex left-hander as we're on board with Kraft still. And then just that little run. This is what they like to call the demi-carousel at points as well. It's got that kind of banking on that inside curb. You'd want to run it a little bit. It's very difficult to actually pass cars at this section of the racetrack. But now we head ourselves onto the very, very fast and very furious section of track. I just love how long this straightaway is. Here we go then. Pick up the power. And from here on in, you get yourself a nice 10-second breather. And these guys will hit the fastest speeds they will do all season long. It's interesting to note as well, we have got ourselves very slight winds here. And Kraft actually Doesn't want to go for that race lead yet, but here comes Chapleski. Chapleski looking to the race lead as they come down towards the end of the lap. As let's have a look, then Chapleski will take that race lead away as they head themselves down into this very, very fast section of track. We'll go on board then with your race leader. Just look how fast this is, Johnny.
Yeah, look at that. They're really throwing the car into the corner. Under braking too, they have to stabilize as quick as they can or else they'll be off into that tire barrier. And now the next few corners, you can see there, Kraft not getting as close to the wall as he would have liked, but you saw him being very cautious there. Now there's a few reasons for that. Either he wants to battle later on in the race, or he just wants to hope for those two in the front to crash, and maybe he'll walk away with the lead here and just take the win. But at this stage of the race, I think he just doesn't want to get into any fights. The biggest mistake you can make as a driver is to let people battle in front, and then that gets you or keeps you out of their slipstream and keeps you out of the 1 second range you want to be to battle towards the end of the race.
Yeah, Luis Silveira there just losing a position to Mika Isuis. Of course, we saw that one. That long straightaway gave plenty of passing opportunities, and that's what you want to do. Be in the 1 second range before you head yourselves out of dotting a hole down that very fast front straightaway. As we can see some of these guys now working themselves in towards the end of, well, you don't want to call it sector 1, but over the bridge here. You can just see this is where you get the air. As you complete that first sector. And actually, that's a really famous point there, as you pass the 4 kilometer mark, Johnny, because you know at that point, okay, the first hard bit is out of the way. As soon as you hit flood flats, you know, okay, now I can get myself into a rhythm for the middle stage of this racetrack.
Yeah, and, you know, getting into a rhythm is the best thing you could possibly do around here, because you don't want to be constantly trying to say, okay, I'm going to brake as hard as I can for this corner. I'm going to try and find that rhythm quickly, because you're going to find yourself 2 seconds behind the guy you were just battling with. So as you said, rhythm important, confidence important, and it all comes with practice too, because if you can memorize this circuit corner by corner as they really throw these cars under braking, the top 3, this is a nice little fight, even though there's not really any side-by-side racing. It's a really important, as I mentioned, the rhythm. But here we go through these little tight sections of the racetrack. Kraft occasionally seems to be getting corners either 100% correct or completely wrong, and you can see the way he exits as well, he loses a lot of time from that. So that's a critical point here, is to hit those apexes at the right time. Kraft seems to be turning in a little bit early to some of them.
4 retirees at the start of this event. You can see them there on the left-hand side of your screen. We have got ourselves, actually, Kip Stevens back out on track. We've got Jay Aggie back on track as well, but Johan Burney and Colin Cunniff are going to be classified as out of this event. I'll tell you one thing, I think the viewers will be a little bit upset, Johnny, if we said, let's ride a lap on board with someone, and just go silent.
Do you want me to commentate the lap on board as well? No, I'm just joking. So, you know, going back to last lap, you've got 3 laps to go, including this one, and Daniel Kraft has 2 drivers to pass. He's going to have to make his way past on the next 2 laps, one by one. He can't just count on the fact that these 2 are going to fight and he's going to make his way through. So he needs to get closer to the back of Shellback in front. He's 6/10 behind now. He's dropping behind a little bit. And then he needs to attack on that front stretch and take the slipstream. Please do not back out of the slipstream. And I think it could be smart in a little bit of a way, because you can use up more fuel, and towards the end of the race you'll be on target, whereas a couple other guys might be a little bit have some excess fuel, which could slow them down.
How many litres of fuel do we need for this race?
I think it's 53, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's that whole thing. We're just having a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you who are long-term iRacing member will know that's the phrase and the words that everyone hates to hear at any racetrack. You get that on the Nordschleife, I think you start getting a little bit worried. We're on board right now with number 14 machine of Ollie Quacker. In the number 14 DX machine, hunting down AJ Bear in the battle for P number 12. I do have to say, I love that livery on Bear.
Yeah, that looks nice. I like that as they head towards this part of the racetrack, whatever it is, as Quokka can, you know, he's a bit feisty. He's having a look at some areas of the racetracks. Jack McIntyre, though, in P18, he's very side by side here with James King.
Oh my word, this is not the fastest part of the racetrack. Uh-oh. Oh, we are.
They keep... oh. Look at that. Oh my god. Look at that. George Simmons as well wants to have a fight. This is some nice stuff. Almost gives him a little tap behind. And now as they They go through the right-hander onto the throttle. James King becomes the winner out of that battle. And Jack McIntyre still there in P18. They come towards the carousel. I know this corner. As Ollie Quokka, who... Something happened to Ollie Quokka. He's up into P12. I don't understand how that happened, but he's up into P12.
Wow, should we replay that one?
Well, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. Let's get a look there. Ollie Quokka, show you what happened. It was at some point in the last lap. Oh, he looks himself down to the inside of Bear. Gets one. That was nice and easy. Gets himself a little bit of snap oversteer. Running over that high curb. Tags AJ Bear. AJ Bear goes off a little bit there. Quokka carries on and thinks, hey, I know this corner. I can put some power through here. Goes down to the inside. Runs himself through that banking. Comes up the corner. Ollie Quokka up into P number 12. Bish bash bosh. There you are. One more look at that one.
That's beautiful aggression. People complain that sometimes that's not your corner. Well, how else are you supposed to make a pass? You know, of course I'm going to slot that car up the inside. And that was beautiful overtaking there by Ollie Quokka. The first time I've seen him in the Kia, actually. So this is a good emergence from someone. You know, these types of races, I know this is unofficial today, or at least it's classified as that today. Some of these races are good for drivers to gain exposure with teams, and you can pick up some really good drivers in official races that you wouldn't see in maybe a league race or a world championship event, and they're good drivers to add on to the team, give them a little bit more experience and see where they travel. So as Magic Sakovic there in P11 really puts about 2 wheels onto the grass, so that was a bit hair-raising, and he's struggling right now at this point of the race. I think Quokka could make another position, and he does, straight around the outside of Magic.
Wow. So Quokka, and you actually make a useful point as well, because, you know, there are certain drivers who would, at a track like this, go out and have some fun. I mean, I won't lie to you, if I actually figured out where the plug for my steering wheel was, I would probably try and run one of these every so often. So having a look there at May Sagrich, and let's try and see what happened with him there, as Ollie Quokka was able to move himself past, and actually he just lost himself another position to James King. So we always talk about heating the tyres up too much. I think that's what's happened to Mayek. He's losing positions. I'm not quite sure. Did he just blow in it? He didn't blow an engine. He just looks very slow, nervous almost for a moment.
Yeah, so he's lost like 7 positions now in the space of I don't know how many corners, but he's lost a lot of positions. So now he's giving a little bit of a bump draft here to James King on the defensive towards... that's Jack McIntyre in front. Now James King behind's having a look. He's trying to get in front. As Magic now in P17. Side-by-side action on the main straight here.
Yeah, as for the race lead, Shellback will move himself back past Rapleski. Daniel Kraft sets the fastest lap of the motor race so far. Then you talk about how Kraft as a car goes off, and that is Mayek there into the wall. Well, I want to cite the team name there. I don't quite know why, Johnny, but I just want to cite the first part of that team name.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say it. So there's Magic. I told you he looked very unsettled before. He lost a lot of positions. He just looked rocky and shaky, and that's not going to work at this racetrack, as he's now reversing down the straight. I'm not sure what's going on there. I think he's just rejoining into the pit lane. So Magic pushing the limits of the rules. Only a guy like him would do that, so that's good stuff. As he enters the pit lane, will service that car, and unfortunately his race is essentially over for any competitive result.
Yeah, this is, ladies and gentlemen, what you shouldn't do under any circumstances. Go backwards on a moving racetrack. Of course, 1988 at Suzuka. This is the reason why there was that. It's 1989 at Suzuka. This is the reason why the Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost feud really kicked off, because they said no, Ayrton Senna went backwards, even if it was for 1 meter, and therefore should be disqualified from the event. So there's your random stat fact from the day.
Yeah, well, Lewis Hamilton last round in qualifying got a reprimand for it, but I guess that was because he was told false advice about where to park his car. Nevertheless, the battle for the lead is the same as usual. 6-10, 7-10's the gap. I don't think anyone's going to be able to make their way past sometime soon, but Shellback now in the lead.
Yep, you get social reverse / RaceSpotTV at RaceSpotTV on the Twitter as well, if you'd like to check the Twitter and get involved with us. Today's broadcast is brought to you in association with Shelter, the official charity of RaceSpotTV. Also today and for the entirety of April, Raising awareness for Autism Awareness Month. You'll see that on the left-hand side of your screen. So every single broadcast we do this season. Yeah, I did say Shellback's in the lead. He overtook Triplevsky. However, Daniel Croft, once again, even though he's at the fastest lap, didn't do anything. But here's the reason why. Take one this lap. Take one in the straightaway as you're on the white flag. There you are. Bish, bash, bosh. Race 1.
Yeah, let's see how this goes. See, Kraft again, he's just turning in early to a lot of these corners. Another corner as well he's turning in early to. I think if he turns a split second later, maybe that car's just not balanced to his liking, but he's clipping those curbs a lot earlier than you'd like. Maybe you can get away with it in the Kia, you know. I'm not sure if throughout testing he's found that to be faster, but I think, you know, watching the top two go through the corners smoothly using only the slightest bit of curve. Kraft seems to be more aggressive turning into corners, which is, as I said, something to look out for this event, and whether it will benefit him on the exits of corners on the run down to straight. You know, that thing you mentioned before about how much fuel is left in the race. I don't like it when a guy comes into an event and says, please be safe into turn 1. What am I not going to be safe into turn 1? Of course I want to be safe into turn 1 as these drivers go through the back part of the racetrack. Look at Cheplevsky so close to Shellback behind.
Yep, yeah, you can see them then. We'll go on board with that driver of Cheplevsky. Gets, I wouldn't say held up there, but it's a single lane part of the track here. So let's have a look. And we're on board with Cheplevsky in the number 1 Club UK Rally machine. 13 kilometers of this lap is done. Those kilometer boards, by the way, are oh so important. Right-hander, slow it all the way down right about here. Pick up the speed once again as you head. I have no idea what this corner is that we're coming into now, but Cheplevsky looking close. Any idea, Johnny?
Oh, not sure, but as Shellback goes through, those kilometer boards, as you mentioned, they are very important. A 20-kilometer racetrack, we're up to 14 now, so you know that there's 6 to go. In the end, though, you're memorizing the corners, you know each one, so for some drivers it doesn't make any difference, so it depends on who you are, especially when you're learning, though. It's a good little reference as you're studying, and maybe you should get like a driver coach to help you around. Some people don't like that, but a good help around the Nürburgring. Anyway, Shellback right now is 6/10 ahead. I believe, Will, this has been the biggest lead of the race.
It is, yes. Of course, you want to make sure that you get that lead up to a second if you can. Shellback then behind the trees. There we are, pretty trees. As he's now got 7 tenths per a second over Cheplevsky. It is worth noting that these two are teammates. One help the other out.
Yes.
Help out, you know, to make sure that Daniel Croft can't get the draft. Well,
that's true. It is an unofficial race. So I'm not sure if they would be fussed about it too much, but it's good practice in case you are in an endurance event, and whether you are fighting for the lead in an important race in the future. So this is good sort of practice to work as teammates. They're definitely on the radio to each other somehow, which that's obviously internal, so we don't have access to that. But Daniel Kraft right now, as the lead has gone, it's extruded itself to 8 tenths the gap. So that's the biggest lead all race, as Cheplevsky is under pressure now. He's got to really fight for position here with Daniel Kraft on the main straight when they come up to it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if Hindi was listening to this broadcast, he'll be sat there laughing at our patheticness in terms of knowing these corners. But here is Cheplevsky right now, on board in the number 1 machine, heading himself through the demi-carousel, as I like to call it, as now just a couple of corners to go before you are flat out once again. Let's go on board with Daniel Kraft in that number 11 machine. You exit this corner, and it's like, hello, straight away, here we go. And you can see you pick up the speed now, and you're flat out for a good 20 seconds. Daniel Kraft, he is in the slipstream this time, but he's like, you know what? I fancy a position for once. He's going to find a way of getting it. He's got a 4 mile an hour advantage. Down he goes then to the inside of the Afala Tech car. And it looks as though he should get that pass complete. There's a look from up above. And they're going to be side by side in the battle towards the penultimate corner. And Kraft coming across there. That was a little bit close. Just a little bit close. But hey, this time by, one more lap to go. We do have to say, ladies and gentlemen, we're only scheduled to be on air for 25 minutes. So we might cut the broadcast off.
Yeah, possibly. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to give give the audience what they want. On that note, Shellback moved into the slipstream of Daniel Kraft, or the other way around, excuse me. So Kraft was in the slipstream of Shellback. Shellback could have stayed on the inside and helped Cheplevsky out a little bit there, but instead he moved to the right-hand side. I know he was very far away and he was setting his line up for the corner, but he could have done it a lot later, in my opinion. So that might have gave a little bit of a chance to Kraft there, because it was only basically around half a car length that he got on Cheplevsky. So now Kraft is into P2, and he might have timed this perfectly. I spoke about it before, making one pass on the second to last lap, and now Kraft is going to have to count on passing Shellback across the line this lap around, the final lap of the race.
Well, should we get a look at your movers and shakers in the race so far?
Definitely.
There we are. Boom! Shellback up 1, Kraft up 1, Cheplevsky down 2, Theo Zult up 2, Rainers up 2. Turn our attention to the next part of this one. Your big movers, actually, Howard and McIntyre. That's really the attrition side of the field. We haven't looked too much at this one, but it has spread out a lot more. We say that at race here, you survive lap number 1, lap number 2, get yourself into a rhythm. It's more of a time trial, just with some other cars and away at points.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that goes to show, with the gap being 6.1 seconds across such a difficult and long racetrack, these guys are just pacing themselves right now, no risks taken, and some of the guys at the back we saw being very aggressive, and what happened was they're out of the race now, some of them. So it's about just maintaining your line and maintaining your composure and consistency. The perfect racetrack to practice if you are struggling to keep that car on the racetrack for even a short half-an-hour race. Short races are basically those 90-minute Grand Prix events for Formula 1. Then you've got the endurance events, which go for 12 to 24 hours. For those events, you do not want to let a team of 4 down. So when it comes to the 24 hours of Nürburgring on iRacing soon enough, it's around June, isn't it, Will, I think?
It is.
And so yeah, it's in early June, and you do not want to let your team down in those races. And that's an important factor, so you got to really just take a bit of time, even if you want to flick on some music one day and just do about an hour's worth of laps around the Nordschleife. Concentrate, get your lines right, and make sure that you are prepared for the race and not making any mistakes come the 24-hour event.
I specifically recommend getting a feeder album. I don't know why, my lap time is always 1 second a lap faster whilst listening to feeder, as Michael Shellback still leads this motor race. But yeah, it's also worth noting, you talk about the fact that the kilometer boards, we talked about that earlier on, it's actually really useful to make use of those kilometer boards, because actually you can break it down into manageable tracks, like 154 corners. But if you do it 1 kilometer at a time, it's like just learning 15 racetracks.
Yeah, and well, that's true technically, and well, that's it. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything else to that. I think that's good enough. Will, I'll let your word. I'll let that do the talking. By the way, these are front wheel car drives for anybody that's watching and who's new to the Kia Cup. So welcome to the series. Front wheel drive cars around the Nordschleife is incredible. So right now, just looking at a couple gaps down the field too. The battle for the top 10 is pretty close there. Rainus, Quokka, Merrick, and Bear. You can see at the top of your screen as well all those gaps. So it's. I don't think the race down the order is going to be too intense, but the battle for the lead could be heating up come the end of the straight.
Yeah, I've just given you, by the way, because you stole pretty much my entire voiceover speech for the Blancpain GT World and GT World Endurance Championship promo. I thought I'd give you the exclusive first look of it. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show the fans tonight, but you can at least have a look at it. As Daniel Kraft now right on the rear, Michael Shellback, as we head ourselves down into a corner, which you take at 86 kilometers an hour with bankings. It's called Carousel. Boom.
There you go. So we know the carousel, that's established, and we've learned a couple other corners. There's a corner called Ozfart somewhere. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it means something good. And being Australian, I'm sure it means something good. On that note, we talked about people who do stuff during the start of the race.
Wait, I'm going to interrupt you. This corner around here is called Whipperman.
Ooh.
I know, right? Carry on.
Look, we need someone like Michael Dinkel or someone German here to mispronounce these. Oh, sorry, not mispronounce them. Give us a translation of some of these some of these names here, because I actually am intrigued. You know, for example, at Interlagos, you've got the Center S and all these corners. You just wonder, those are in English.
Is Duckbill Corner. We learned this one over the years.
Yeah. So maybe we should just actually put in a little bit more time to study this racetrack. Nevertheless, they're coming towards the end of the lap, and Kraft is struggling here as Cheplevsky could have a little bit of a run here on the main straight, and maybe Shellback running away with the lead. It is 1 second the gap from Shellback to Kraft. Not looking good for Daniel Kraft here.
Unless Kraft is being sneaky.
Well, he could be, but I think I wouldn't take that risk at this stage, because now the gap's 9/10. On the exit, it should increase as Shellback does have the power earlier. Almost into the wall. Did you see that? Michael Shellback pushing to the limits. Good stuff there. And at Kraft now, he's hitting the apexes. Nice, aggressive there. You can see the car lifting up the left-hand side. 2 wheels off the ground as he bounces over the curb. And then 6/10, 5/10 the gap. Maybe you might be right, Will. He might have timed this almost perfectly as they go through the left-hander.
Yeah, they're heading themselves now down into the demi-carousel as... Well, Kraft is at 8 tenths of a second, but it's getting your run out of this next corner. Dotting your halt there. Get yourself a good run out of this. Put the power down now. And then whoever gets themselves best out of this straight away will have a 1 in 2 chance as Kraft goes off there. A 1 in 2 chance of winning this motor race. Kraft just pushing wide. At Dotting-a-Ho, this is now going to allow Cheplevsky to go past. Cheplevsky, has he got enough in the tank to try and go for the race lead? We're on board with him right now as he heads himself then down towards the start-finish line. There are 2 more corners to go. Look at the overspeed for Cheplevsky. Can he close the gap in time? 5 tenths of a second, 4 tenths of a second. Left-hand kink. Couple of corners now to come. Kraft back down to the inside. He won second place as they head themselves through the final couple of corners. And ladies and gentlemen, it will be Michael Shellback who will win out here at the Nordschleife. He holds on to take victory here today. Cheplevsky in second, Daniel Kraft in third. And we almost acted, Johnny, like we knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, so Kraft there at the last second. Ultra aggressive, but Cheplevsky did have the race result on him there for P2. Wonderful race. Half a second the gap between the top 3. That's what we were expecting with all the slipstreaming and patience involved. No one was really going to break away. Daniel Kraft almost played it perfectly, but I think the mistakes in the final sector that cost him a lot. He did not get the run or the speed. Right? That wasn't the distance he wanted to be from Shellback. He wanted to be a lot closer, obviously, and that's eventually what cost him not only first place, but now he's in third, but at least on the podium, and something to learn next time out for Daniel Kraft, but mustn't be taken away from Shellback and Cheplevsky, who had an immense race, an amazing race there, and 6 drivers in the top 6, 7.8 seconds separating them. Good stuff in the Kia Cup.
I apologise to the people that got upset by the fact I got excited. For the rest of this broadcast, I will talk in a monotone voice. As I do think, though, Johnny, that all of these drivers should have to do a full cool-down lap, which means that essentially they'll be in the car for the next 15 minutes or so.
No, that's all right. Well, you know, Kobe Bryant's retiring today, and he was known for appreciating the hate. And I think you can be just appreciating Kobe Bryant Day. I don't know what I'm saying. Just talk. Well, I don't know.
That's
just
okay.
Go on.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your final race results from this round number 5 of the Kia Cup on RaceSpotTV. As you can see there, that Michael Shellback will win out by 4 tenths of a second. In fact, it's 399 1,000ths of a second over Stelian Cheplevsky there in the number 1 Club UK and Ireland machine. Daniel Kraft comes home in 3rd place, with Alexander Shmatsky there in 4th, Mika Ishiwas in 5th, Jürgen Frank in 6th, Christian De La Soult, Luis Silveira, Dustin Hickman, and Bren Reyners rounds out your top 10. You can see there the remainder of the results now currently up on your screen. And Johnny, tomorrow night it is time for European Mazda MX-5 as the road to Laguna Seca will continue once again.
Yeah, good to see the MX-5's racing strong. Really the entry-level car into iRacing. A lot of people remember jumping into the MX-5, whether you're at Okayama or Laguna Seca, learning that car as well. So now we got the drivers pushing that car to the limit. and racing cleanly, which is a surprise in the MX-5, but that will happen tomorrow night, and we should see some good racing.
Indeed so, ladies and gentlemen. So don't forget, tomorrow night we have got ourselves European Mazda MX-5s, and of course then on Friday it's the most fun you can have your pants on iRacing. It is the Formula Renault 2.0, and I have to say, before we go off air, Johnny, some of the most watched videos we've ever had here on RaceSpot have come from that Formula Renault series. We have 2 races a week now. In fact, this week we have 3 Formula Renault races, because of course we've got the Friday night race, we've got the Sunday afternoon race, and then we have ourselves the Formula Renault 2.0 World Cup.
That's true, but I think the rare something is, the better it is. So you can't overdo it, because people will get bored of it sometime in the next few months if they keep it at this rate. But I guess you give the fans what they want, and if they want more, we give them more.
Indeed. So you can see there, just looking at some of these guys, they are still doing their cooldown lap. I like the Deutsche Poster guys there. They are currently working themselves at kilometre 8.5 as Jürgen Frank there is going to pull that car down towards the this is corner number 42 here at the Nürburgring.
He definitely put more than 53 litres in that car, you know that?
Yeah, I know, right?
The start of the race.
Yeah. So some fantastic running there by some of these guys. But we want to give a shout out, ladies and gentlemen, to all of you guys here once again on RaceSpotTV, watching, streaming live on iRacingLive. This is all we have time for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast. We shall talk to you all next time. This has been the Kia Cup from the amazing Nordschleife. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all soon.